And now for another episode of Confessions of an Online Psychic. With your host, novelist, filmmaker, and authentic psychic, Dave Thompson.
Hey guys, I'm Dave. This is Confessions of an Online Psychic. So this past week, I started something new, and that is in the Boss Witch system. It's # Boss Witch. Every other week, I'm going to be doing tarot card readings. And during the first go-round with this, I talked about how I have two separate decks of tarot cards. Here we go. Yeah, these I use just for magic. And the reason is as I do magic, I put my intentions out there, and I use these cards to help focus the meditations I do, help focus my energy, on an image. You know, let's say I want something very important to happen, and it involves money, so I will use the Ten of Pentacles, which is, those of you who read the regular Rider deck cards, you know that this means typically, a bunch of money coming in. The other card that's good for that also is the Nine of Cups. And so today, while I was, speaking of the Ten of Pentacles, this is it right here. Yeah. And what I did was I would shuffle the cards. I did a card shuffling technique that I call the poker shuffle. Here I'll demonstrate. And this is how I do this. And then this is how I do it. Now, sometimes when I am working with tarot cards, I will cut the deck in threes. And then I will read. Oh, mercy. Then I'll read it. I didn't have anything in mind when I turned this over. But, there's a card indicating, justice. There's the Fool, the beginning of that. But wow, we picked up the Devil. When I go to pick a card, I'll either fan the card like this, and I'm usually, when I'm doing a live like that, I'll just fan the cards towards the camera, then I'll pick one out. And then they come out, and then I can read it. From the feedback from the live broadcast, it looks like things were pretty much spot on. For those of the people that left me feedback, and there was a lot of comments flowing, and sometimes it's difficult for me to catch up with those comments, especially during a live broadcast like that. But here's the other method I use for shuffling. And I have another method I use for picking is when I'll just fan them out like that, and then I will pick a card at random and hold it up to the camera. Here we have the Eight of Swords. Wow, Eight of Swords, which means for the person I'm drawing the card for, it would mean that they're kind of bound up, usually bound up in a thought process. Now, unlike a lot of other people, I started, actually like a lot of people, I started playing with tarot cards. I was still in college. A friend of mine had a set, and he would do some readings, and people thought it was fun. And then I had a girlfriend who wanted talk about tarot cards. She was younger than me, so it was sort of a kind of a she's out on her own in college sort of idea. And so what happens is we went to get a deck of tarot cards, and there's a lot of misinformation going around. This was early 80s, and so one of the first pieces of misinformation that I got was that you can't buy the cards yourself. They had to be given to you as a gift, which was kind of weird because so she, she said, no, I have to buy these for you and give them to you as a gift. So then she had to borrow the money from me to get the cards. So basically, I bought them myself. Now, one of the things that I have found when I first started using the tarot cards, I really didn't like them. They seemed to be very pessimistic. And part of that was because, well, I had a lot of change coming up. I was in my last year of college. I was struggling with my major because I had done all the stuff in my major, but I still had all the other little classes I had to take. And I had enough hours to graduate, but I forgot to go tell the school that I wanted to graduate. So I still had to enroll in another semester. And that's when I had this girlfriend. And so things were, it was like, really wasn't good. But the tarot card deck really revealed that. I look back now and I can see where it was giving me signs. I was going, ooh, I don't like it like that. These are so they're so pessimistic. But in actuality, it really did predict things for me. Then I kind of because they were so pessimistic, I moved on and I practiced doing regular playing cards for a while. That was interesting. I don't even know if you can get the book that I used for that. I'm going to have to look on Amazon because it was a really different way of reading cards. But I thought I'd go into more detail. Now, this is the deck I use for reading. And it's in this purple bag. And I always keep cards in a bag like this separate. I mean, you could use the box they came in. Before I moved out here to LA, I have 2 decks in storage, and they're in a little wooden box that I made for them. And one deck is in its original box. The other deck is loose. And the reason why I did that was because, again, I was using one deck for doing magic, and the other deck was for seeing into the future. Now, here's why. When you do magic, let's say I'm setting these out to do a tarot card magic, I will go through these cards and I will look for the types of cards I need to do the magic. We can see here that here's the card that represents me now, because I realize I'm more like the magician. I hold in my hands the ability to change my life and my outcome. Prior to that revelation to myself, I would often use, where is he in here? He's somewhere in here. I'd use the King of Swords, which is basically just from a physical point of view. I'm like the swords guy. Dark hair, dark eyes, but I don't have dark skin, so I can't use the pinnacles. So, but by using one deck of cards with magic, what's going to happen is you'll find that the cards will soak up the energy that you're putting out during the magic spells, the rituals, and as a result, they will become inaccurate. It's mostly that they will be overly optimistic because they've just been hit with all this energy of the stuff you want to have happen. And, you're going to come up with tons of cups and tons of the bigger pinnacle cards, or perhaps, like the 10 of cups, or here it is, the 9 of cups. And that's not, here's the one I used to use as my significator. And that's also back when I did tarot cards. I would follow the typical the spreads. This book that I had that I showed today, which is called Power Tarot, I'll show it. Here's a picture of it. If you want, I'll put a link to the Amazon page for it. And what typically happens is that when I first started reading, I think there's that little black book everybody gets. It's the tarot card, it's black. You read the cards, you know, if they come in upside down, it means one thing. If they come in straight side up, it means another. And quite frankly, I was getting impatient with that type of reading. And this other book that I got this book, it's in the mid-1990s is when I first got my first copy. And I realized all of a sudden the cards really started making more sense. They started being able to tell more of a story, because this book is not just a paragraph with the way it looks, you know, when it's like this and then another paragraph like that. This one breaks it down into a general overall description of the card, what the card would mean in a reading, and then it goes into specifics. It's for your work, your romance, for finances, for health, for spirituality, and for empowerment. And so when I do even a one-card reading for people, I've done it using this book so often, I rarely have to refer to it. But really what happens is it's more accurate. It's a more accurate portrayal of the way the energy is surrounding that issue at this time. As I like to tell people, the energy can change. And we, all of us, men and women alike, we are this card. We hold in our hands the ability to change our future using magic. Now, some of us are a little better at that than others. I've done ritualistic magic a lot, and I've done more the mental style of magic too. It is a path working that I've started just recently, to where all I have to do is just think. I can hold the sigil, either the sigil that I've created, or a sigil that belongs to an angel, or a sigil that belongs to a fallen angel or a demon. And that allows me to, you know, I can just breathe into it. And I can, you know, make things happen doing that way. I've always had that ability. One of the offshoots, one of the things that tends to happen when you practice a lot of magic is that you can just simply really want something bad to, and it will just appear without doing a ritual, without doing a sigil. It's just sheer force of will. I'm working a different type of magic that involves, besides announcing the name of God, then I do a visualization that brings light into me and into my heart chakra, which then energizes my body to perform the magic that I'm getting ready to do. I'm not so sure this is a type of magic that I can teach easily. I'm not really looking at it to teach. I'm using it for a whole nother purpose. And it's interesting. It takes 4 angels pulling together to create this. So you call upon the angel, you call upon the first attending, the second attending, the third attending angel, and then you call upon a so-called demon, or I call them a fallen angel. And I'm going to start calling them that, because they are not really demons in the sense of the dark black energies that are hard to control. These are mostly out of favor gods, out of favor angels. According to several medieval writings, you know, we had, well, like Dante's Inferno, famously, you know, has Lucifer falling from heaven into the underworld, saying it's better to rule in hell than it is to serve in heaven. Which is an offshoot of several philosophies that says people like Lucifer chose to drop down to earth or fall so they could help mankind. The original dispute is that Lucifer thought that by giving humans knowledge and technology. They wouldn't have to rely upon God. And so that at that point, I got to talk about the two different path workings. You have left-hand path working, right-hand path working. Right-hand path working is, simplistically put, is following the more traditional orthodox ways of appealing to a deity. You go to the church, you pick out a candle, you pick out a saint or an archangel, and you pray. You do this for 9 days in a row. And at the end of the 9 days, if you've done it the right way, if you said the phrases correctly, the deity, the angel, the archangel, the saint might smile upon you and say, your wish is granted. But those always come with strings, like you have to give so much to the church, you have to give so much to charity, you have to do this or that, perform these deeds. And a lot of people do their religions this way, they do their magic this way. And then on the other side of this is what we call left-hand path. And a lot of people think a left-hand path is about working evil, working black magic, working dark arts. And it isn't. It's taking control of what happens. All right? In left-hand path working, you are the ultimate person in control of what is happening to you. You take command of the angels. You invoke the true name of God, and you take command. And you, by evoking, especially with the angels, they are then bound by their internal programming to do as we bid, provided that we do it in this way. There are no offerings. You don't burn candles to them. You don't make any promises. You give thanks. I thank you for doing this for me. And then that's over with. That's the end of it. Now, it is far nicer, especially when you're working with the fallen ones, to do a nicer invocation instead of evocation. But if you're working with the angels and the demons both, you have to do a command in the name of El Elohim Adonai Ioe Zaphayat. Then you are commanding. You're commanding those angels to go get the demon, escort the demon to you, and perform a service. Now, I've done it in such a way where I just invoke the demon themselves, because I don't believe they're evil. There is an entity out there who is evil, evil, evil. I've encountered it 3 times. There's a possibility that there's another one near me right now. These are what I call shadow people. I was in a reading with a young lady who practices shamanism, and she said that these things, they called them the Black Ray, or the Black Race. I don't know which one. Angela, when you see this, please comment and set me straight. These are evil people. These are evil entities, okay? I was talking about these evil beings, these the black race or black rays, and they are very, very evil. Sometimes when you do an invocation, you put out a lot of magic. It's like lighting a flare, and these things exist in a dimension lower and slower and thicker than our dimension, which is where we get the idea of the evil being below us, good being above us. And sometimes they'll punch through into our dimension, and they will wreak havoc. They are really evil. It makes me sick. Physically, I get physically ill when I am in the presence of this type of energy. That's how I can tell. That's how I can tell that energy is here. Anyway, I realize I've gone on quite a while for something that's just going to be a quick talk about tarot cards. I got off the subject. And that's because I'm going without my teleprompter today. This isn't as structured. So to wrap up, my next video is going to be about one of the addictions that can happen when you start doing magic. Anyway, I hope this has been illuminating for you. I'm putting my tarot cards up now. Now remember, Dave, okay, the blue sack is for the cards you use in magic. There's a reason for that. And we will catch you later. Next episode, which I'm going to record right now, is about being addicted to incense. Catch you later. Bye.